Welcome to another episode of the FPL Sheeple podcast, a podcast that blindly follows all the great FPL content out there and tells you all about it. We come to you at the end of blank game week 36 with Alisson providing a moment for the ages and preventing a disaster for Liverpool. I'm your host, Carling, and speaking of disasters, we had a disaster of a FPL game week again. And we are really not able to pick the right picks for a few weeks now. Isn't that right, Donatello?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Where is my Allison?
Yeah,
Who's gonna save my game week?
I swear, man. I mean, apart from that triple game week where we really celebrated hard, it hasn't been a great set of game weeks for us, has it? For the past five or
Yeah,
six, I would say.
like we were discussing before, it's all a red arrows for me for the last 6 game weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lost like 100k, more than 100, I guess 200k in rank, so it's been frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple of game weeks though, so hopefully our content creators become our Allison
Yeah.
for the next couple of game weeks.
Yeah, and really save our season because we just have two
I
game
know.
weeks, and yeah, we'll try to maximize what we can get. So yeah, so then let's
Yeah.
just get into the agenda. Why don't you start off?
Sure. So in the agenda, we discuss Game Week 36, which was a disaster
Yeah.
for both of us. We got, I mean, really bad points. And especially for me, I did something which I haven't done since we started the podcast, which is make
Yeah.
a last minute change. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, we have the creator team review for game week 36, in which we look at our spreadsheet and we look at
Mm-hmm.
all the points that all the content creators have gotten this game week, and we discuss who got how many points and
Mm-hmm.
which players stood out for them based, and which were like the template players which helped them get those points.
Yeah, and yeah, then we will move on to looking forward to Game Week 37, which starts on Tuesday evening. So we'll have our Creator of the Week, and between these game weeks, most content creators have gone on to give their differentials and their differential picks. So basically, players that are owned by very few teams that will give you an edge over the others and try to boost your rank. So yeah, so we'll take a look at what the creator of the week has suggested as their differential picks, and we'll preview game week 37 where we've maybe perhaps picked a couple of differentials in our own team, and we try to rise in the rank. So
Yep.
yeah, so then let's start with our game week 36 review. Why don't you introduce last week's content creators?
Yeah. So we had a change in our format last week because we
Hmm.
had two content creators.
Yeah.
We were honoring FPL Heisenberg from the week ago. So we had FPL Heisenberg, and then we had Josh Landon, who
Yeah.
was our winner of the week prior. And as you can see, these were the picks suggested by both of these content creators based on their own podcasts. And We each made changes based on these suggestions. I actually only made one change. I got Chris Wood in,
Mm.
and then I decided not to make any changes. But then Twitter and all everything I was reading up got to me, and then the very last minute I took out Zaha and got in Phil Foden, which was a suggestion
Uh,
by Josh Landon,
yeah.
and then you know how it goes after that.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, Pep Roulette struck, and we'll take a look at your team in a moment or two, and we'll
Yeah.
see how that impacted you. Yeah, and yeah, for me, I think I liked Josh Landon's DCL captain shout, and I went on to do that. And again, we know how that went as well. So yeah, so let's take a look at our game week 36 review. So first, let's start with my team. So I got a total of 43 points, and I had made two transfers thinking that I wanted to try to rise in the ranks, so I tried to get in two players, but it didn't work out in the end. So yeah,
Mm.
43 minus 4 means like a net of 39 points, and obviously that's bad. Fortunately, it was just a small-ish red arrow, so I went from like 528k to 572k, which is not terrible. I mean, it is still 50,000 in rank roughly, but it's certainly at least I think my aim of getting top 500k still remains, and so let's see if
Yeah.
I can do that in the last two game weeks. So yeah, so then my team was Martinez in goal, who got 2 points. Lorente,
Mm.
as I had so smartly brought in my team with a view that Leeds have easy fixtures, actually worked out somehow, and he got the clean sheet point, so he had 6. Townsend, who has been
And
just
also, and also, sorry, Laurenti wasn't suggested by any of the content creators, right?
yeah. He was just someone I picked because that was the amount of money I had. Although I
Yeah.
feel, yeah, I mean there were a couple of content creators who had talked about how Lorente has transformed the Leeds defense. So I went
Yeah.
off that, that information,
Yeah.
that I mean, which is the cheapest Leeds sort of good defender that I can
Mm.
get. But anyway, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, then I had Luca Dean, who got 2 points. Yeah, I mean
What a
Everton
shocker.
against Sheffield, man. I mean, yeah, I brought him in, and I thought he would absolutely get some attacking returns at least, even if not the
Yeah.
clean sheet. So yeah, but he totally blanked. Then Lingard, who keeps blanking now, and it's become a regular occurrence, but he's hard to sell because West Ham have good fixtures. So yeah, Lingard got 2 points. Salah, who
Hmm.
got 10 points, but he was my vice captain. I didn't go for the popular captain pick, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. These things happen. Then I had Son with 3 points, and Jota, who was announced that just before the game that he was out for the season. So nothing I can do about that. And
Yeah.
so I didn't get anything from him. Watkins with 5 continues to keep getting at least one assist or goal every game.
Saving
Uh,
our game weeks.
yeah, so to speak. Yeah, compared to other players, he's at least getting something. And Harry Kane with 8 points. And
Mm.
finally, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I made captain just for the differential captain pick, trying to see if that helps me rise in the ranks. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin absolutely blanked. Everton didn't play well, and yeah, so he just got 4 points in the end. Yeah, so that's it. Just 43 points for me. Minus four's
Mm.
39, and yeah, bad game week. But let's see what happens in the next game week. So yeah, so how about you?
Right. So speaking of bad game weeks, I I had a really bad one again. I got 33 points. I did that last minute transfer, so
Mm.
net score of 29,
Mm-hmm.
which I shouldn't have done in hindsight. He's my team. My defense consisted of Martinez with 2 points, Dean Robertson 2 points each, Ola Aina, Matt Target 1 point each. Jota, as you said, got
Mm.
injured, didn't feature in Liverpool. Foden was a victim of Pep Roulette.
Yeah.
Lingard keeps blanking. And okay, so more than single digits. Moving on to double digits. The only player who got double digits in my team was Harry Kane,
Yeah.
16 points. Chris Wood blanked. Ollie Watkins sort of saved the game week with like that 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, again, a really bad game week. I fell down in my ranks. My overall rank is now 335k.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I am, as I said, like I'm down from almost like 200k in ranks, which is really bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a really disastrous move. As I said, I've done something which I've never done before. Was Twitter got to me. I had Zaha in my team, and I was going to stick with him. But then I thought Villa might win the match, and then he wouldn't do anything. And he
Mm.
scored. He got like 6 or 7 points. So in
Yeah.
hindsight, he would have definitely bumped up my points to somewhere around 40. Not too much, but like that would have been above average points, and I would haven't lost so much of rank. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's an overall disastrous game week again.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think, yeah, even, I mean, these things are hard. So, for example, if you were active on Twitter, and I know it sort of becomes overwhelming after a point, if you
yeah,
were active on Twitter, like maybe 15 minutes before the deadline, these rumors started coming up that Man City
yeah,
is fielding a weird team. Like Scott Carson is starting, and Ford and Mahrez are going to be rested, and so on and so forth. So you really have to. I mean, it comes as a very subtle message, as a reply to
mm,
one of the content creators somewhere, and then it becomes, it's sort of a fishing expedition where you have to comb through Twitter to look for the real news. So it becomes hard in the end. And yeah, Foden was a suggested pick, and it sounded like a great pick. I mean, the evidence was right there. I mean, the match ended up being a high scoring match, and instead of Ferran
yeah.
Torres, it could have been Foden who would have been among the points. So yeah, these things happen. It's sort of the randomness of FPL, and if you don't go for it, you will. It's sort of a high risk, high reward strategy anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and it also sometimes reinforces your beliefs in your gut instinct. Sometimes you
yeah,
just have to stick with it, because all these social media mediums, where you keep on looking for what every content creator is doing, or like what's the talk of the town, or like it just happens. Like
yeah,
everyone starts talking about a player that gets injured, and then you get into peer pressure and you start thinking, oh, why do I have him in my team? I should get someone else. And
yeah,
sometimes you just have to stick to your gut instincts, and stick with them, and they will reward you, like it happened previously. So
yeah,
yeah, it was a bad game week, but as we said, we had a really good FPL content creator this week, and we listened to their podcast,
yeah,
and we have their suggestions in place. So hopefully, hoping for a good final 2 game weeks. So
yeah.
it let's move to the team review then.
Yeah, all right. So then, yeah, let's move on to our regular spreadsheet for this game week.
Mhm.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, I have in front of me our regular spreadsheet with the game week points for 20 different content creators who we regularly follow on this podcast, and also their total points and overall ranks currently in FPL. And then we also have their player picks that they made in game week 36, and they've sort of the player picks have been arranged in the order of frequency. So the most common players that all of the content creators have picked are towards the left, so in the columns starting from 1, 2, 3, and so on. And if you move to the right, you go and take a look at the more differential picks, that are the players that only one or two of the content creators have picked, and just to
Mhm.
sort of get an idea of if the differential picks are giving a particular content creator some advantage in their final score, and try to sort of make some correlations or some analysis of which players you can go for in terms of either the very template
Mm,
players, which are the players which are very
mm,
common, or the players that are differential towards the right, which are rare, but they give you point advantages. So yeah, so that's the idea of this spreadsheet.
mm,
And yeah, this week, as we had tweeted out, Salah was the popular captain choice, and he was captain for 16 out of the 20 teams. And then we had the interesting differential captain picks. So late riser, who ended up coming second in our content creator game week
mm,
36 scores. He ended up using his free hit, so he remained really patient throughout the season to not use the free hit chip, even though there were, I think, a couple of opportunities before to do that. He still remained patient, and he finally ended up using his free hit chip, and he got the wind of the Man City pep roulette, and
yeah.
ended up having Scott Carson as his keeper, and Carson ended up saving a penalty. So yeah, that was really great. And yeah, he went for the differential captain pick, as he quite often does, and he went with Sadio Mane, which is not a bad idea. But I mean, uh, Salah did outscore Mane, but looked like Mane was also very sharp and played really well. So yeah, so that was
Yeah.
Laterizer. So his free hit did give him a general advantage, but he didn't come out on top. It was Sam Bonfield from the FPL family who came out on
Mm.
top. Even though she took
Yep.
-4, she got 66, so a net of 62. So she was on top. And actually, if we take a look at her team, looks like she had most of the
Mitchell.
template players. Yeah, most of the template players, and she had Tyreek Mitchell, which was the huge
Mm.
advantage that she got over others.
Yes.
So Tyreek Mitchell was only in
Yeah, I
three
think
three teams. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Derek Mitchell has been like apart from the other differentials who stood out this game week, like from the spreadsheet at least, he was the really big differential this
Yeah.
game week because he has like double digits.
Hmm.
If you scroll to the right, you can see those one odd players with like 7.6
Yeah.
points, but Tyreek Mitchell like 13 pointers straight away just boosts your rank, and that's why Sam is on top, and that's what she discussed in her podcast when
Yeah.
we were listening to it. She said like she took Mitchell to make space for DCL, but like look how it turned out for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, and actually she attributed that to listening to Roy Hodgson's press conference saying that Patrick Van Aanholt is not going to play this match, and so
So
she.
yeah, and to add to your point, she it was one of the content creators we had previously, Neil Rigg. I
Yeah.
think she listened to his commentary on the team news, and that's how she made the
Yeah,
decision of getting
exactly.
Mitchell in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So just like how we at FPL Sheeple follow all these content creators, the content creators themselves also end up following each
yeah.
other, and so yeah, it sort of seems like it helps to be Sheeple in some way or the other. So yeah.
Everyone is sheeple in a way.
Yeah, in a way, that's true. Yeah, and again, towards the bottom, if we take a look, not to sort of call them out or anything, just to take a look at who didn't perform as well. Again, we have Ben Krellin, who was doing really well in the past couple of game weeks, always ending
Mm.
up in the top 2 or 3. This time, his luck sort of ran out. And he had taken a big hit as well with a -8, so he ended up towards the bottom. He didn't get as low a score as we did, so it's not as worse as us. And yeah.
Yeah, and on the same point, if you notice, this was the game week where almost more than half of the content creators took hits. Like
Yeah.
if you see, most of them have -4 or
Yeah.
-8, and eventually everyone has ended up in the same points, like ended up with the same
Yeah.
amount of points. So
Yeah.
interesting to see almost all the content creators taking a hit in this game week, whereas I guess. I guess one of our content creators suggested it was not worth taking hits. And
Yeah.
it was FPL Heisenberg who did not take any
Yeah.
hits. So it was interesting.
I mean, FPL Heisenberg in general, I have noticed this, has not taken hits throughout the season. He's one of
Yeah.
the lowest amongst all these content creators who's taken. I
Mm,
think he's only taken like 8 hits throughout the whole season, which is
mm.
quite low.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
God, that's insane.
Yeah, so I mean, I think in general plays FPL in that way. He tries not to take a hit, remains
Mm,
patient with his picks. So yeah,
right.
so yeah, that's one way. But I think, yeah, so taking a hit was not a problem this week. It was probably more to do with the player picks and the sort of rotten luck we had with Man City and Jota being injured, which we thought could have been a difference for us. But anyway, yeah. So then,
Yeah.
this is the spreadsheet. Obviously, we always have the link for this spreadsheet in the description of the YouTube video or our audio versions of our podcast. So please have a look, scroll through to take a look at which players are very common across these content creators teams, perhaps giving you some ideas of which players to go for. And if you scroll to the right, you can find out some wild picks that perhaps help you boost your ranks as well. So yeah, so with that, we will focus on this week's content creator of the week, who is Sam Bonfield from the FPL
Mhm.
family. So yeah, so let's introduce her. Yeah, so Sam Bonfield is one half of the FPL family, who is a husband and wife couple, who posts on YouTube, and they are also both always appear on the official FPL show quite often. So if you follow the official FPL show through the website or through the FPL app, the Premier League app, then you would have already maybe seen or heard from Sam. She's also part of the Fantasy Football Scout content creators team, and she also writes some articles there. So yeah, so she's doing well. Her current rank currently is 34,658, and
Mm.
this has been her highest rank so far towards the entire season. So that's a good time to rise up in ranks and reach your highest rank, I feel. So yeah, she's on the up, and
Mm.
especially in the last few weeks, she has continuously been rising in the ranks. So yeah, she's I
Yeah.
think aiming for that. Aiming for at least top 20k or top 25k, at least 10k, maybe a little far away, but I'm sure she might be going in for that as well, and we'll see how she plans to do that. Her best rank so far in her career of around 10 seasons has been 3499, which she achieved last year. So she really had an amazing season last year. um,
Yeah.
she's achieved top 20k twice and top 100k three times across her 10 seasons. So yeah, again, a consistent performer who does well consistently throughout her career. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah, go on.
listening to, like, one thing I would wanted to point out, like listening to her podcast with like the FPL Family podcast, some of her suggestions that she has made for the upcoming game week were like really, I feel like very thoughtful
Mm-hmm.
and well researched, or like but the point is like she has given enough thought to make those opinions, and which is why I feel like what the like the list that we're going to show
Mm-hmm.
is definitely going to help people for the next two game weeks or the last two game weeks. So yeah, really, I enjoyed listening to her
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, so yeah, why don't you then introduce the player picks that she has suggested to us?
Sure, sure. So, the theme of their podcast, FPL Family Podcast, this week was differentials for the last
Mm.
two game weeks, which was game week 37, 38. And in this podcast, Sam pointed out a few players which are must-haves, or she would want to have in the team. Like for example, the Leeds trio. She said Melier, Dallas are like some of the
Mm-hmm.
Leeds players that are really a must-haves in the for the last two game weeks. And she said that since Jota is out for the rest of the season, the transition from Jota to the incoming player would be Jota to Harrison. That's what she's going to do for the next game week. So
Yeah,
Harrison
okay.
is like one of the her suggestions. And in terms of like Newcastle picks, she suggested Alan Saint Maximin or Joe Willock
Mm-hmm.
as good differential options, especially Willock, which could be like you could do Jota to Harrison or Jota to Willock. So these were some of the Newcastle picks that she suggested.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Spurs fan, so they discussed the Spurs match and then upcoming matches in detail. So she said if you have either Bale, Ali, or Son, stick with them for the upcoming last two game weeks, because they're statistically supposed to perform well in the upcoming games. So
Mm-hmm.
don't get rid of your Spurs assets. Should not talk about Kane because it obviously you should hold on to Kane for the last
Yeah.
two game weeks. But if you have any of these three, don't sell. Or if you want to get any of the Spurs assets, these three are the ones to go for. Um, and then she also mentioned Said Benrahma from West Ham, who has been like giving some good points recently for West Ham. So that's like one of the differential suggestions. And Antonio also as well from West Ham.
Hmm.
And last but not the least, she suggested a couple of United differentials. She said Greenwood is a good option for this
Yeah.
week, and then Luke Shaw as well because it's Fulham, so he has a chance of giving some attacking returns.
Hmm.
And she also had a few. She had an avoid list in which she's going to avoid having these players. First of all, is Ollie Watkins, which is surprising because Ollie Watkins
Yeah.
has been our savior for the last few game
Yeah,
weeks.
that's
So
true.
she said, if you don't have Ollie Watkins, don't go out of your way to get him in your team.
Yeah.
And the second is DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So again, the same for him. And the third is Mitchell. So she feels like these teams or these players don't have like really good chance of
Hmm.
giving any attacking returns. So if you don't have them, don't worry about it. Just avoid for now. So this is the list of player suggestions that Sam has given throughout her podcast.
Hmm.
So why don't we go to your team and see what you've done?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting that she is now suggesting to avoid Tyreek Mitchell, even though he gave her so many
Yeah,
points. But that's sort of
yeah.
a good point, that you shouldn't be chasing these players who have given some points in the past game week. You shouldn't be just chasing them just because they got
Yeah,
points in the last game week. You have to take into
absolutely.
consideration what their next fixtures are, etc. uh, so anyway, so I think I am absolutely copying Sam's idea of
Mm,
taking out Jota and then bringing in Harrison, because
mm,
yeah, I mean, not just because Sam said so, but also because the reason why she said we should bring in Harrison, because his attacking output has been one of the best in the amongst the Leeds midfielders. In fact, compared to Rafinha, who's usually known to be the go-to Leeds midfielder that people should have in their FPL teams. Compared to Rafinha, Harrison's numbers look even better. So that's why Harrison has been
mm.
strongly suggested by Sam, and I sort of like that idea. So yeah, I've just made one change. I've changed Jota to Harrison, and so my team overall is Martinez in goal. I don't have a choice here. They're facing Tottenham away, and my second keeper is Areola, who's facing United away. So I've chosen the lesser
Yeah.
of the two evils, and I'm starting Martinez in goal. I have Lorente, who I believe should continue giving me those clean sheet points. Then I have Luke Shaw. As Sam mentioned, is a good pick for this week, and I have Luca Dean. Then I have Lingard, who has not been performing well, but I mean, West Bromwich Albion, if not, is the best team to play against, and try to get something. So Lingard is in my team. I didn't think about substituting or taking him out and bringing Ben Rama in, because I mean
Mm,
that's not such a great move, I feel. Then
yeah.
Salah, who remains my captain. I'm going to captain Salah. That's it. No more. Uh, let's
Huh.
see. Let's see what happens in game week.
Set and forget.
Yeah, I mean 37 and 38. I think Salah should be the captain. I feel. I tried the DCL differential captain pick, didn't work out. So I
Yeah.
think I'm going to revert back to my safety first approach. Then
Right.
I have Son,
Mm,
Greenwood, and Harrison. And then up top I have Kane, who's my vice captain, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So yeah, so overall I'm happy with this team. Looks like all of them have very reasonable fixtures apart from Martinez in goal.
mm.
So I feel this is a good team. Should be able to fetch me points. And on my bench I have Areola, as I said before. I have Watkins, Holding, and Townsend. So yeah, so in case if there are any sudden problems, I think at least Ollie Watkins can come in and give his customary assist to me, and I'll get 5 points or something. But anyway, so yeah, I'm
Yeah,
happy
that's
with
a
this
good
team.
team. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good team. And to add to your point about Harrison, this actually goes against her logic of avoiding players who have been scoring. Like for example,
Yeah.
she said avoid Mitchell, but with Harrison it's different because if you have seen Leeds matches
Yeah.
recently, Harrison has been really close on scoring goals.
Hmm.
It's just that matter of converting those opportunities, but he was like really close to getting that double digit haul that he finally got last week.
Yeah.
So he is a player in form for from the last 4 or 5 game weeks, and that's what makes him a must have in your team. So that's the reason why she suggested having Harrison. And also,
Hmm.
my only concern with your team is Lingard. Probably, I would have.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have gone for Watkins over Lingard?
No, West Brom is just a fantastic opportunity. I feel
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
if I mean, and we'll see this when we predict our scores for Game Week 37. That what I have gone
Hmm.
for. If that's the score line that it ends up being, then Lingard should be in the points. I feel so. Yeah, that's why I've gone with Lingard. I mean, against West Brom, I should back any player, even though they gave Liverpool a tough time. We've seen matches where West Brom end up leaking quite a few goals. So yeah, that's the logic why I've gone with Lingard over Watkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for your answer because I'm going to copy that because I've done the exactly the
All
same.
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
if you go to my
Yeah.
team. All right.
Okay.
So I have made two changes. One is I took out Jesse Lingard and I got in Joe
Ah,
Willock, and I took out who did I took out? Um,
DCL?
I took out
No.
someone. No, no, no. I took out someone and I got in Bale. Oh, I took out Jota. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I took out Jesse Lingard and Diego Jota, and I got in Joe Willock and Gareth Bale. Both suggestions by Sam. So Willock because he's been performing really well for Newcastle. He's getting those 8 points, 7 points in the last 5, 6 games, and Newcastle have Sheffield and then Fulham, I guess, in the last match. So
Yeah.
mm, best chance for Willock to shine and get that. Even if he gets one like a double digit haul in one of those 2 game weeks, it's done. Like the thing like the it's achieved. So
Yeah.
my team is Martinez in goal. Backline is Dean, Robertson, and Shaw. Midfield is Greenwood, Joe Willock, Phil Foden, who hopefully will play this game week. Gareth Bale and Fernandez, who's my captain, and Gareth
Wow.
Bale is my vice captain. And forward line is Harry Kane and Chris Wood. Because Sam also mentioned if you have Chris Wood, don't sell him because
Mm-hmm.
even though he has Liverpool at home, there are, I mean, based on his statistics, he's likely to score against Liverpool. So don't sell him, and also for the final match, keep Chris Wood. So that's my starting 11, and my bench is Matt Ryan, and then Ollie Watkins, Matt Target, and Ola Aina. So those are my my three benched players.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Really.
took a -4
Yeah.
this time. Hopefully, Sam's suggestions will turn out good for us.
Yeah, really, really great team. I mean, you've really gone for the differential strategy, and you've really, championed it here. Because, I mean, I'm looking all over your team sheet. There are so many great differential picks here. Chris Wood, Willock, Foden, Bale, even Fernandez as a captain. Even though Fernandez is very common, but he
Yeah.
as a captain pick is already, I mean, I can see that, if your differentials really come through and the big hitters don't really give points, then I see you rising in ranks really rapidly. So yeah, so that's a, yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting
Yeah, I was
team.
confused between Bale, Kane, and Fernandez
Yeah.
on making captain. Uh, I feel Bale would have been a risky captain pick because I don't know if he doesn't start for some reason, then
Hmm.
and then he comes on like for 30 minutes and doesn't do anything, then that's a risky pick. So I just
Yeah.
went for the safe pick in Fernandez. Hopefully he
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
So
No, I think he will.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's
yeah.
something that we probably haven't mentioned in today's episode is the fact that all these matches are happening in front of crowds. So I think
Yeah, yeah,
in
big
some,
changes.
yeah, and yeah, there are quite a few talk from the content creators side, which makes sense, is that there might be some sort of home advantage because the crowds being
Mm,
back in the stadium should give the players some sort of boost. So yeah, so the likes of Fernandez, who I'm sure will
mm.
start in front of the home crowd, so that they can sort of celebrate his great season or whatever. And yeah,
Yeah,
the likes of Kane and Bale should also do well because it's going to be in front of the crowd, etc. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
yeah. Thanks for bringing that up actually, because this is exactly what Sam and her husband Lee discussed on the
Hmm.
podcast. Last two matches are going to be in front of the fans, so they felt like the advantage goes to the team who is playing at home. So
Yeah,
get as many players as you can who are playing home,
yeah,
um, or like player differential players who you know can are playing next week, which is the last game week. So
yeah.
get as many players as you can who are playing home. And another point I would like to point out was about Manchester City. They said that she felt that City might play their main team in one of the two matches.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go for City picks, game week 37 is probably a good time to get that one of City player and then maybe switch him out for someone else in game week 38. So that's like the last thing I would wanted to add to
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and there's one more thing that I had noticed a little bit earlier in the episode is the fact that we are just 50 points apart. By the way, so I'm like 50
You have a
points
good
behind
chance
you.
of catching me.
Well, yeah, that's why it's going to be really interesting this week because your team is such has a mix of these differential picks and mine is relatively towards the template side. So it's going to be really interesting
Mm,
that for example, if Salah goes big and by some chance Fernandez doesn't match that, then it'll be advantage to
mm.
me. Whereas on the other hand, if your differentials come through, then I have no chance. And I think then it's like you've clearly then
Yeah, I mean, if
won
we
this.
end up getting pretty much the same plus or minus 10 points, then I think I'm good for the last game week.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true. So
yeah,
it'll be really interesting. I mean, yeah, you have a chance of opening the gap far more than me closing down 50-point gap.
right.
Let's just say that beforehand. So yeah, I'm not having any big expectations, but it's a nice little mini competition that we are suddenly in
Yeah,
for a random reason. But yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, so then yeah, let's move on to our last part of our podcast where we discuss our predictions for Game Week 37, the fixtures in Game Week
Actually,
37. That
let me
is,
rephrase that. We make really bad predictions.
yeah. I mean, we don't keep tabs or keep scores, but if we did, we
Yeah,
probably end
we
up
do
being
really
pretty
bad
proud.
ones.
I mean, yeah, that this shows how much we know, right? Or rather, I would say that's the exact whole game of football. That it's so random
Mm,
that you really cannot predict what's going to happen.
I know.
So anyway, I think across the board, I'm looking at quite a few differences between our picks, but the main thing is that you are going for a Chelsea draw against Leicester, and
Mm,
I'm going for a Chelsea 1-0 win.
mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea are going to be out for revenge. They are going to try to seal their top four spot, and Leicester are still going to be in party mode. That's my logic as to why
Mm.
Chelsea might win, but I can see why it'll be a 0-0 as well.
Well, I feel this is going to be a cagey affair.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went for nil-nil to spice things up because Liverpool is right on the tail. So
Mm.
if both the teams draw and Liverpool win their match, then it's going to be crazy
Yeah.
last game week.
Yeah, and both of us have gone for a big Liverpool win anyway. Both of us are saying that
Mm,
the Liverpool will score 3 goals against Burnley. I feel they'll concede because Liverpool always concede these days.
yeah,
But yeah,
they do.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, yeah, and as I said before, the other scoreline where we differ, but sort of works in my favor, is the West Brom West Ham game, where I've called a 2-all draw. I was actually
Mm,
going to go for a 3-2 win to West Ham, but I feel that
Hmm.
that scoreline has been already overused by West Ham many times. So I feel that I don't think it will be 3-2 to West Ham again. So I went for a 2-all draw, and you've gone for a 3-1 victory to West Ham. So yeah, either way, I
Right.
feel good about my Lingard pick. And yeah, and as I look up, you've also gone for the Newcastle victory. So yeah, it looks like yeah, we expect Joe Willock to do something
Yeah,
there as well.
I think it's just a matter of few goals, plus or minus one or two. But I guess pretty much, except for I guess we haven't picked any opposite predictions. So it's pretty
Not
same, I
many,
guess.
just these two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think most of the matches are going to be like dull affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Some good ones I think are like Spurs versus Villa will be a good match. Chelsea Leicester, or even though we've gone for a very boring scoreline, we hope for like a cracker of a match
Yeah.
for like a for someone who's not the Chelsea or Leicester fan.
Yeah.
And West Brom versus West Ham, you never know. Like West Brom on their day show up and do wonders. So hopefully that can be another interesting match. And a few boring ones here and there. I think Everton Wolves. Everton are really bad at home. I don't know how they lost against Sheffield.
Yeah.
So Newcastle Sheffield is another boring match,
Yeah.
possibly. And Crystal Palace Arsenal, I have no hopes from that match. So
Yeah.
yeah, a few some good matches here and there. But we are hoping for a good game week, which
Yeah.
will help us boost our ranks for the
Yeah.
last two game weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then that's it from us for this week. And so thanks for listening. I hope you have a good game week. Remember that it's a short turnaround, and the deadline is on Tuesday. So remember to make your
Aling,
changes. Yeah.
before we end, you wanted to talk about
Yeah, yeah.
the review episode,
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to do that. Yeah. So of course we are going to come to you before game week 38 as well, with again all the content creator picks, regular stuff. And we would like to also announce that we will be doing a post season review episode, which will come out, I would say, approximately in the week after after game week 38, sometime where
Game week
we will.
39 to be
Yeah,
precise.
something like a game week 39. Yeah. So there will be doing sort of a review of I mean, we'll be doing a bunch of stuff. It'll be sort of a sort of a data analysis about all the different content creators, about their play styles, about which play styles seem to have worked this season over the others. And so we have sort of tried to categorize different content creators into different playing styles and so on and so forth. And we are also going to therefore analyze our teams and our ranks in the context of all these different content creators. And we will also take a look at which content creators picks helped us the most, whereas which ones did not help us so much. And so
Yeah.
going into next season, we have a far better understanding of what we want to do, and what are the type of content creators we might want to follow next time around more than, apart from the content creator of the week, which we will obviously have next season as well. Yeah, so then so that'll be a much longer episode, I predict. And yeah, so I hope
Hmm.
you tune in for it, and we will obviously announce on Twitter when the episode will be out. And of course we'll be also with you before game week 38 as well. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
a small little announcement. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
and 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 we would appreciate if there are there is any kind of feedback or
Yeah.
suggestions for the next season. So whenever we post videos on YouTube, please feel free to comment,
Yeah.
or on even on Twitter if you have any suggestions, things we you want us to improve or like enhancement for the new season. That would
Yeah.
be extremely helpful for us, and we will think of incorporating your suggestions in whatever way is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then, yeah, and go to YouTube, subscribe to us, leave a comment, leave your feedback, leave a like.
Yeah.
You can also listen to our podcast on all the popular audio platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, etc. And do follow us on Twitter at FPL Sheeple to stay in touch or to stay up to date with what's going on
Mm.
with the podcast. So yeah, so good luck everyone with Game Week 37. Hope you get a good amount of points, giving you that green arrow.
Mm.
Hope your differential picks also work out as well as they can. And yeah, we'll see you before Game Week 38. So yeah, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye.